our goal here is to allow Eric to walk you through kind of the 5 critical tech actions for non-technical business leaders. I can say I am one of those people. I am not a tech guy. I know what I know, and it's not this. So with that said, let me introduce Eric. Eric is the president of Copeland Technology Solutions, a leading managed services provider that helps businesses turn technology into a strategic advantage. Over the past decade, Eric has led Copeland through significant growth, increasing revenue by over 350% by aligning IT solutions with real business outcomes. He began his career in the tech consulting industry, and he founded a company called DocuSyst, a document management company that he successfully built and sold. His experience as both a founder and operator gives him a unique perspective on the challenges business leaders face when navigating technology decisions. Beyond the boardroom, Eric is a dedicated husband and father of 3. He enjoys coaching and playing sports and proudly embraces his status as a nerd at heart. I know, Eric. I think that's accurate. That mix of business acumen and technical passions to the 5 critical tech actions for non-technical business leaders, offering practical insights to help executives make smarter, more confident technology decisions. So with that said, Eric, I turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Al. That's a very, very well-written introduction. For those of you who stay for the entire length of the webinar, you will probably get an idea of who or what wrote that introduction. So yeah, let's kick off. So the first thing I want to cover is answering the question, why this title? And the biggest reason for this title is that it is the responsibility of the leadership team of every company, the ownership of every company, to ensure that their technology meets their strategic vision. It is not up to the finance department, who usually manages the IT, internal IT, or the IT relationship with a third party. It is the leadership. That is the most important role of the leadership when it comes to technology. Over the past 20 years, there's been a shift from, hey, I got a guy, I got a gal, I got a person who handles that. It's too technical. I don't want to think about it. It's now shifted to, we have this challenge. We have this strategy to be number 1 in our marketplace. We're looking to expand offices. We're doing all these things. How can we leverage technology as a strategic advantage to win more business? And it's become something that you have to pay attention to, or you will lose market share. It is a proven fact. We come across a lot of businesses who don't take this seriously, and you don't have to have a technical degree to do it. So that's why we chose this title. Many people are not technical, but I think people are starting to dabble a little bit. And to reiterate what Angela mentioned earlier, I do not want to talk straight for 45 minutes. I think that's the worst idea for this group. So as things come up, as you hear something that triggers you, please speak up, raise your hand, pop a chat in. Someone will interrupt me, and we can take a look at what you're asking. All right. Goals of what we'll walk away with today. You'll have some 5 key things that you can take right away, apply to your company, your business. It fits everybody. Hopefully I deliver in a way that you can understand and isn't too nerdy, as Al mentioned earlier. I'm a nerd at heart. But what I feel I bring to the table is I can translate that to people who want to understand what the technical items are in a non-technical way. You'll also leave this with some gaps or risks that you may have, that you or your organization or your team need to invest some time in, and basically just understand some questions and things to ask your existing team or your third-party provider, just to get some more information and some actions to take, just so that you know where things stand. Some of the people on this call are customers of Copeland. Hopefully we are going to give you some additional knowledge on the AI side as well. All right. Talking specifically to the people that help grow a business, I've been there twice. It is a very difficult, challenging, anxiety-driven task. You have families, you have people that rely on you day in and day out to make sure that they get food on the table, they have jobs, they're being fulfilled in life, all while trying to keep your sanity together. You've built something worth protecting. You've built something that's important to you and to a lot of people in the community. Doing a quick assessment or thinking about how technology can help support you and protect you is something that I definitely and strongly recommend. It can help you increase margins. It can increase your operational velocity. It can make your team move faster. You can improve the quality of your product or service because your team can collaborate better, you're sharing information better, and you can ensure you're compliant. That's one of the biggest risks, is the whole compliance world, which many of you face today. So leveraging some kind of technology, some that you actually may already pay for today, leveraging that can help you be a better team, provide a better service, and improve the quality of what you do. All right. So we're going to start off with a quick check-in. We're going to do a couple polls here. We're going to get in just a quick snapshot of what we're dealing with. Hopefully everybody can answer the polls and we can see what's going on. We'll kick it off in a second here. So right now we're asking, do you have an internal IT team or a third party that reports to you or controls your technology? All right. Votes are coming in. I should say vote. We got one vote. Hopefully everyone's seeing the vote. If you're not seeing a vote and you want to pop something in the chat window for assistance, please let us know. We'll give a few more moments here. There should be 2 poll questions. So hopefully you can see both of those. We have a question that popped in, I believe, Peggy. Oh, only saw 1 poll question. All right, so what we'll do is we'll just go back to the first poll question was, hey, are you using an internal IT team? Do you have a third party or both that manages your IT strategy? And then the second one is, do you have a clear understanding of the technology strategy and how well it aligns with your company strategy? So it looks like what's leading in these polls, the first one, is most people have a third party or both. So there are separate individuals that are responsible for it. And then secondly, on the poll side of things, for a clear understanding, it's split a little bit. People know what they're doing. They think they know what the tech team is doing. And then a couple people mentioned that they do not know. All right. So based on those results, a couple of things. Number one, it looks like the majority of this group utilizes either a third party, an internal group, or a combination of both, which is great. The second question tells me that there is some question as to whether they know if their strategy from a company standpoint is supported by the technology that they have. So a lot of times we'll have business owners, business leaders say, I don't know, I'm talking to my internal tech team or my account rep for the managed services provider, and I don't know what they're saying. They're just talking tech stuff. I just, I kind of just, I don't attend those meetings. I let the finance person, because it's all about the pricing. The biggest challenge with that is the one person, the CEO, the president, the owner, or your operations person who's responsible for how you operate and the future of your company does not know what your most important asset is doing. You do not understand if it aligns with where you're going as a company. So if you're going in a direction of, we want to move everybody outsourced from an office space, and that's your plan, and your technology doesn't align with that, you're going to have some severe headaches along the road. So that's why we're really stressing in this webinar that your leadership team has to be involved in those meetings. We have customers that have ownership in these meetings. It's a great conversation. It helps us do planning. We also have organizations where they have just the IT person that sits on the call, and everything is tactical. Everything is technical. There's no long-term vision. There's no long-term understanding. So results of the poll are great. We got a mixed group. So all of this should apply pretty well. Anyone have anything they want to share really quick or anything they want to ask before we move on? So let's jump in. Action 1. Knowing you have a problem if you have a problem. It's always the first step. Where do you stand? Doing some sort of assessment is something I would 100% recommend if there's any confusion as to what is happening. There's many different types of assessments. There's cybersecurity assessments. There's infrastructure assessments. But basically having a third party come in to assess where you stand. We always recommend, even though we own, for the most part, the strategy and technology of our customers, we still recommend a third party come in with an extra set of clean eyes to take a look at what we're doing. There is too much that is happening nowadays and too many things moving at such a quick pace that every single little checkbox, every single where in the world is going to be addressed. It is important for a third party to take a look. If you have an internal IT person and a third party that help, they're not always having lunch together every day discussing what kind of changes they're making. That internal IT resource may be doing something that doesn't align with what the third party thinks, and there has to be someone to come in and take a look. So it's very critical to have some sort of assessment.
So you're saying, Eric, that getting an assessment, so if you've already got a third party involved in handling some of those things within your company, but having another third party come in and do like an official assessment, see where you stand, not just at the beginning, but periodically also. What are some of the recommendations there?
Yeah, so let's say we're an MSP. We have scheduled check-ins with everybody. We have tools in place to do a lot of things that we need to do to manage an infrastructure. Bringing in a cyber third party is an example. They're going to come in and they're going to ask questions about what the risk is with your organization. What kind of data do you have? What kind of compliance are you responsible to be aligned with? They're going to go deeper and they're going to run some simulations to see if they can actually get into a network and somehow penetrate in and get information. And if they can, what can they get? Many times what we've seen, large IT companies that have internal IT systems, and don't get me wrong, I know for a fact on this call is a phenomenal IT person, okay? There are some ones that have challenges out there. They're very task oriented. They're putting out fires. Someone shows up on their door, they want to help that person. That's a good thing. But they're not thinking about the long-term impact of their daily decisions. We had an incident a year and a half ago where a large IT company or a large company, their internal IT person opened up a port to make things easier because they were going through a major change. You open up a port, I got to make this easier so I can get in remotely and do some stuff. Never close the port. 6 months later, everything is encrypted and they cannot work. And we had to rebuild them from scratch. So it's one of those things where, yes, you trust your people. This isn't saying they're bad at their job. Everybody's doing a lot every single day and things slip their minds. We leverage tools that remind us and create tickets every quarter to double check the user list, to double check the licenses, to make sure there isn't scope creep on those. We're not wasting money. An internal IT team may not have that. So it's very important I would say minimum every 2 years, have someone come in, do an assessment, go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and provide a result. Any question on assessments? Let's move on to number 2. This one specifically is called Stack Your Tools with a Purpose. Right? There are 2 different types of tools. One, there are things that you have to have, you should be doing. And then there's things that align with the type of business that you are, is number 2. So the first thing, and I'm sure everyone knows it, is MFA. Everyone needs to have MFA. It is the worst. I hate it myself. Every time I got to get something, I got to log into my phone, pull up a code, and log in with MFA. It is incredibly critical that that happens. It does not protect you 100%, but it makes it more difficult for an attack to happen. Usually what we find is everyone in the company is first to go, and then the executive team is like, okay, well, we'll do this over the next couple of weeks. Well, no, this is a really big pain. I don't like doing this. The biggest target is going to be your financial team, your executive team, because everything you have is out there on LinkedIn and they are collecting it using AI. It's very simple. So you are at the most risk. Everybody needs to have MFA. You need to have endpoint protection. Each device that accesses your data needs to have some level of protection. It should be a managed level protection. So if something does come up, it's automatically triggering some sort of response. So whether you're using SentinelOne or Blackpoint or any other application, having something identify some sort of risk and then trigger an action by some sort of party to get involved is essential. You have to have that. I would also make sure you have a very, very good backup solution, and it's tested yearly. Everyone thinks that their backup is working. We test it every year, and even then we find, oh, look, there's a new application that was installed. We have to add this to the DR plan. Things come up, things happen. You have to make sure that your backups are working successfully and they meet the requirements of your company. And then the last thing is email protection and awareness training. I know reoccurring costs are going up. They're constantly going up with this little thing and that little thing. Teaching your users is the best investment that you can make. Doing simulations, not trying to get them in trouble, to show them a report saying, hey, you're doing a bad job. To continuously keep this at the forefront of the conversations is critical for your user base. Doing the bare minimum is not always the best. So there's additional tools that you should look at that are specific to your industry. So let's take an example, the financial world. There's a lot of rules in New York State stating that you have to protect people's information. Doing basic protections is not okay. You have to do more. So SIM, which is log aggregation and assessment, data loss protection, setting up rules to make sure that people aren't sending out credit card information, enabling encryption, change management processes. So there's a lot of things that then from that base level that you need to implement based on your company. I know for a fact there's organizations on this call that do a large amount of business. On top of that business, they are busy, they are growing, and they have a future and a path that they're trying to achieve. The worst thing that can happen is for everything to shut down for a week. And you lose all of that momentum. There's legalities that come along with that. Your people are just miserable, and then you have to try and play catch up. It is the worst thing that can happen. Questions on that? All right, I've been talking a while. I said some things that I'm sure people are like, what the heck is that? An example of that is SIEM, SIM. Anybody in this chat knows SIM? Just pop a thumbs up or anything like that. Just make sure everyone's not sleeping. Okay. So a SIM tool is great. A SIM tool takes every log from every machine, every device on your network, pulls it into a big stack, and then runs analytics on it to make sure no strange stuff is happening. So for example, if there's a disabled user, it's not being re-enabled. It's not having its permissions elevated. There aren't strange login attempts happening at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And the goal of that is to make sure, like, listen, if someone does get in, we are finding them in 6 minutes as opposed to 6 months. We are stopping them from getting a ton of data and possibly limiting them to one mailbox. So those are the types of things that we're looking at anytime we assess some technology. All right. This one, I have to tell you, is very close to my heart, and it's one of the most frustrating things for me. I totally understand where people are coming from. We don't have an empty, like a blank checkbook to just write checks for everything. However, the way that the industry is going, every industry, the use of AI, the growth of these apps, just because something is web-based doesn't mean it doesn't use up resources. These web applications use up tons of resources. Saving $500 on a machine or $8 a month for 5 years is a waste of money. It is setting your team up for failure. For example, let's say you get a bare minimum 8 gig machine, or even nowadays 16 gig is really the bare minimum, I would say, you go from a RAM standpoint. They're trying to do their job. They're trying to run their processes and move quickly, get things done. Everything's running slow. Everything's running slow. Right there, just in 5 minutes, that's that $8 that you saved. So finding a way to purchase the right equipment and to make sure that equipment is refreshed every 5 to 6 years max is critical to the operations. Things are moving exponentially faster. So having the right technology for your team to do their jobs is critical. And I know I'm going to say this, the up and coming, working class, everyone's like, oh my God, they're so annoying sometimes. The up and coming working class is going to demand a device that works at the speed they want to go. If they come in and they look at their infrastructure and it's old, they're gone. They're immediately going to assess your technology and say, this technology is old, I don't want to deal with it, and they're going to want to leave. So using proper equipment, making sure it's refreshed, all of these tools are very, very resource intensive.
So you're saying with the increase in everything uses AI now, every application, every program, that's really pulling a lot more power, a lot more RAM, as you mentioned, through our computers. That's just one example of.
It's just one example. Everyone's starting to use AI to take notes,
Yes.
to transcribe meetings, in case this one. But just because something is browser based doesn't mean it's not using resources. So if you open up five tabs in your Chrome or Edge browser, right? You go to MLB.com, you go to whatever news channel you do .com, you open up an app, and then you go to YouTube. And then if you were to actually hit Control-Alt-Delete, open Task Manager and see, Chrome is going to be using up a third of your resources right out of the gate. And that's just with 5 tabs. and then you add Outlook, and then you do a Teams meeting, you're done. So there's adding value to a device, smart spending, and then there's just throwing money away. I'm not saying you just go out and buy a $6,000 machine for everybody, but if you're saying it needs to be $800 or $900, you're going to get a piece of garbage. Some organizations look at doing refurb machines. We've stopped doing that because those refurb machines, even if they're 2-3 years old, the processors can't handle what's coming in a year or two.
Well, I thought that's an interesting analysis of linking that to retention within your organization too. I hadn't put the two together before.
Yes, if there's roadblocks in the way of your team, they are going to get frustrated And we all know that this younger class of workers, they can be leveraged to do great things, but they're very quick to leave if they have roadblocks. If they don't have the technology they need to do their job, they will leave quickly.
I have a question that came, it came through our Q&A. Chris is asking this. What is the best way to identify the right equipment, assuming that no internal IT or third-party IT team is available for this?
Oh, that is a great question. Thank you. Applause to you. I would, we'll get to it in a few slides.
Okay.
What I would do is, you can go to, if you have a Dell device or HP device, you can find the service or warranty page, and you can put in your serial number, and it will give you the specifications of your device. You can take that, pump them into some sort of AI tool, say, this is my machine, and then this is what I do every day. I have Outlook open, I have browsers open, I listen to music, I do this, this, this. Tell me if my machine meets the requirements. That would be a great way for someone who doesn't have access to a tech person to determine that. For a baseline, for anyone buying a new device now, if you do virtual meetings, you do Microsoft Office, you do browser, and you leverage AI in some way, I would go with a 32 gig moving forward.
Okay.
And that's 32 gigs of RAM, sorry.
Yep. Sounds good.
And I do not recommend going to the Best Buy and getting a device. Everyone, all the time, someone's kind of trying to find deals online. I get it. I'm trying to save money too. But usually those deals have the wrong version of Microsoft Windows. It has a home version versus professional. There'll be some sort of weak warranty, some 90-day warranty, or you have to go to the Geek Squad and go there, you know what you're going to get there. It's best to invest in business class technology for your business. Prices have gone up. It's just the way it is.
Definitely things to think about.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you for the question, Chris. Thank you. Oh, another one came in.
Okay. So I'll just read that out loud. It may be important to ask as well on their performance. Some personalities will suffer and not want to be a burden. I typically check in quarterly beyond having my own list of upcoming upgrades.
Great recommendation. Some people will not want to stir the pot. It should be a question as part as your evaluations or however you do your check-ins with people. And I think just listening in on those meetings, if there's frustrations happening because stuff's not working, bring it up, talk to people. And that's why it's up to the business owners and the leadership to drive these things and ask these questions.
Nice tidbit. Thank you, Philip.
All right. Number 4 is be proactive, not reactive. We live in a world of sensors. Okay. They are not 100% all the time perfect, but there are very low-level things that your IT team, your third party, or your company should be thinking about when it comes to ongoing proactive maintenance. Using sensors to determine if you're running out of disk space, your hardware is failing, and backup logs, things like that. Checking those things and getting those notifications can help prevent something from happening in the future. There's so much downtime that can be prevented in the easiest ways. Obviously, keeping a 1/5 refresh of equipment is great. Also having scheduled review, whether it's users, licenses, devices, things like that. You don't want scope creep. So for example, we bill our customers based on number of users and or devices, okay? If you have machines out there that haven't been properly decommissioned, they're on lists, or you have user email boxes just sitting out there, you're paying every month for those licenses. So having a scheduled task to go through, make sure they're cleaned up, decommissioned properly is very important. Making sure that automatic updates and patching are going in. Third-party patching is very critical because there's updates constantly going out. It used to be once a month years ago. Now it's just constant. Every Google Chrome, Windows, Adobe, every application needs to be patched for security reasons. And lastly, building in light maintenance routines can definitely clean stuff up. Holding quick tabletop discussions around tech readiness, just making sure, hey, quarterly, are these systems working properly? Is anything running slow? If anyone's bringing that up, making sure we address it and identify those issues. Reviewing software spend and overlap. Just because it's the same bill every month doesn't mean it should be the same bill every month. There may be some, like if you drop 5 users, that bill should not be the same every month. Making sure firmware and BIOS versions are updated for servers. So your business critical servers, if you have them, they should have semi-annual BIOS and firmware updates to make sure they're running on the best versions. Having some sort of proactiveness will help you in the future. Any questions on that one? All right. And now to the moment we've all been waiting for. Al. Just joking, Al. AI. Capital A, lowercase.
I was like, don't ask me about this stuff.
So if your company and your team is not leveraging this, you are behind. You are 100% behind. It can be used. I know everybody's talking about it. Everyone says you should be using it. Some people are just nervous. They think that they don't know how. The best way that I can explain it, and someone explained this to me the other day, so I just popped this in. Think of it easily as an intern. Okay, your AI tool can be an intern to go do some legwork. Right? They can go and comb through data. They can comb through information and present you with something. You still have to verify it before you send it out. You still have to review it and make sure that it's accurate and correct in the right framework in which you provided. But it's something to do a lot of legwork for you. We're gonna go through an example here in a moment, but it is a tool that can save you time. You definitely have to have policies in your company around this, making sure that there is an AI policy stating if you are going to use it, you are responsible for the output it provides. And if you send it out from our company, that is your responsibility. So if someone just takes a bunch of meeting notes, sends them out without double checking them, and they send it to John Smith and they were talking about John Smith getting fired, that's your responsibility. Just because the notes were in there doesn't mean you should be sending them. You should also be using the company approved tools, making sure that your information is secure. So just because you have a tool that can provide a bunch of ways to save time does not mean you should just be dumping in documents with sensitive information into it. If you're not paying for a tool and you're just using ChatGPT or some other tool, that's free. That information, there is no protections on that information. If you're using a paid version, usually there's more protections, but it doesn't mean that you should still be pumping in a bunch of sensitive information. You should be very careful about what you're providing to the AI tool. Some examples: searching for emails and files, taking notes in meetings and providing a recap, summarizing data and surfacing trends. You can hand Copilot an Excel spreadsheet and it can give you some summations on what it's seeing. Most important thing is to lay the framework about what you're trying to accomplish. And we'll get into an awesome example that has changed my life over the past 12 months.
It's definitely something that you think about, right? Is this example was given to you by a software developer. They said their company says absolutely no AI because you're feeding that information into, you don't know where that information is going. So
there's a software developer, someone who's going to create some code to put into an application that's going to be dispersed, right? There are instances where someone has generated code in AI that has had some sort of malicious activity in there. And they've just taken it, copy, paste, put it in, hey, it works, great, and just deployed it. You're still responsible for what you're taking from that AI tool to make sure that is what you intend it to be.
It's definitely a question of how to determine what is a safe tool to use. No.
All of the tools have their risks. The output is being generated based on other information out there.
Mm-hmm.
It is up to you to go through it. It's just the way it is. A perfect example, what we're using heavily today, we do account reviews, right? There's so many communications and emails and documents and all this stuff happening, tickets. We're able to take all of this information, hand it over to Copilot, and give us some summaries of the tone in the emails, who we talk to the most, any sort of problem, tickets that have been back and forth. We've had multiple tickets about. In this situation, we basically prompted to find all the emails with jsmith@abccompany.com or mjohnson@abccompany, recap the relationship, note how it has evolved, and highlight any topics I should address in the review. The result was a clear relationship summary, top concerns, actionable recommendations, and a ready-to-use review agenda. I could have taken this prompt further and said, I'm going to be meeting with the executive team. I need an executive summary of everything. I need it in bullet point fashion, and I need to have some numbers tied around it, and here's the data. Whatever you put into the prompt, however you build that framework, you're going to get the more exact results. This cuts the amount of time sifting through all kinds of emails, documents, agendas, things like that, cuts it by 80%, I would say. And if we can look here, I know it's very, and we'll be sharing the slide deck with everyone. The results were key themes and topics to address, account review and feedback. In your last 6-month review, Mary Johnson provided thoughtful feedback. Disaster recovery recommendation. It was asked for disaster recovery recommendation. Scanner and hardware and software. We had talked about that. Training in Microsoft Copilot came up a few times. Service tickets and operational support. So on top of this, it spit this out for me. It also asked you, hey, do you want to dive deeper into this? Do you want to go deeper into the training? Do you want to look at each service ticket? And from that service ticket, it'll give me service ticket numbers because they're all in our emails. Service ticket numbers, I can go look at those tickets, pull them up quickly. I'm not going through hundreds of tickets trying to figure out what I'm trying to find.
Hey, Eric, is this just on Copilot? But what if you're on like the Google Workspace platform? Does it have the same capability?
Same capabilities, yep. And there's different types of, there's industry specific AI tools, right? There's note-taking specific tools. There's PowerPoint creation. There's image creation AI tools. There's tons of different AI tools. Okay. The reason why I leverage Copilot is because it has access to all of our information, all of our documents. It'll say, here's all your emails, and it's right inside of Teams. Here's all the emails. Do you want to look at chat messages? Do you want to look at documents, specific folder structures, libraries? And it has that access.
Cool.
So I can say, take the last 4 account review documents, summarize the action items, and I can look at those, see if they were done, and put them on this year's. All right. So we do have a question. Yes, we will get the slide deck.
The other one was, Eric, what are examples of tools used to protect a business from an AI cyber attack?
So what is happening now is, or what has been happening is there isn't like a specific AI tool that I know of out there. It's possible there is something, but AI is driving the performance of these applications of today. So for example, that SIM solution, which I talked about, you've got hundreds of thousands of logs every hour being stashed into a big pile. AI is being used to summarize those, find those anomalous behavior logs, and sift through that information much faster. So you're seeing AI being driven into a lot of the tools that support all the infrastructures we manage. I don't know if there's one specific cyber tool for AI. I just know it's being built into everything. Great question. Thank you. I still need to verify this information. So I still need to read through it. Remember, an intern put this together for me. I'm sure there's great interns out there, but you always double check the work. There may be things I need to add. So one of the biggest challenges will be people just taking it as is and moving forward. And that can cause a gotcha moment for sure. Any other questions on AI? I highly recommend you just try it. Just try it. Anything you can. I've used it so much as a tool. Just pop in there. Hey, this is who I am. I did it to provide the introduction for Al. He said, create me a bio. I had like 5 minutes right before I was leaving. I hopped into Copilot. I said, I'm giving a presentation. This is the title of the presentation. Here's a link to my LinkedIn page. Create an executive summary. This is the audience that's going to be at this webinar. Include a couple extra things about my personal life and create. And I tweaked it just a little bit and it was able to put together a summary. I am not one for writing documentation. I'm not one for creating content. AI is great for doing the heavy lifting. So we do have a question in here about resources for AI training, and this is I'm not being facetious. Ask AI how to best use AI. I am not kidding. Copilot, I am brand new. ChatGPT, I'm brand new to AI. I have no idea how to use it. What do you recommend would be the best way I can use this? And honestly, the prompts will come up. You can use it for anything. If you're going to a meeting, go find all of the information on this company. Here's their website. Go find them on LinkedIn. Anyone who's worked there, and summarize it all for me. And then you get into the nitty gritty. Well, you can ask it. What would be the top 5 questions I would ask a CEO in this industry to demonstrate I am competent in this field? The use of it just goes on and on and on. And we will get to it in a second. We do have a challenge for you in the AI world. You're not leaving without homework. All right. So just a quick recap. Understand your risk. Have an assessment done. Very minimum. Ask questions. Ask detailed questions. Okay. If I'm a non-technical person and I have an IT department, asking them, how are you making your decisions? Are you making them based on our technology requirements or our business strategy? When will this be done? What's your biggest challenge today? What's our budget? How does just ask questions. And if they start getting all techie and all of that, you just say, listen, just keep it at a high level. What are we talking about here? Explain it to me. What's our biggest risk? Choose tools that match your goals. You should not just go buy a bunch of stuff and put it in and expect the result to be absolute perfection. They should be the bare minimum plus what's required based on your company. We once had a customer, I said, what happens if, your server room got, lit on fire? And the gentleman responded with, I get some marshmallows and some sticks and I'd make some s'mores. He did not care if his server got blown up. He did care if his filing cabinets did. That would be a problem. So just asking questions like this, what happens if that were to just go up in flames? What would happen? You'll find the conversation start happening much quicker. Make sure you're equipping your team with the right hardware. The last thing you want is for hardware to go down, and the last thing you want is for a critical meeting or something to go very poorly because of poor hardware. Stay ahead with simple routines, get in the rhythm, put something on the calendar, reoccurring stuff to do maintenance, cleanup, making sure people are restarting the machines at least once a week. You wouldn't believe how many times that fixes everything. And then you use AI as a tool to save time, not create risk. It's very important that you do not create risk by taking everything at face value. Hallucinations are a real thing.
The one about stay ahead with simple routines, I'd love to kind of go over, and not right here, but at some point in the future, Eric, is that something where you could help understand what are some of these things we need to be looking at and placing as part of our routine that we may be missing, right? That's part of the assessment you can do for us.
Just general walkthroughs, and just, again, it's all about asking questions. You're a CEO, you're a business owner. It is your job to ask the questions to understand. If the person's doing a dog and pony show and they're not giving you the information that you need, it's your responsibility to drive deeper into that situation. It may be uncomfortable. I mean, asking when was the last time we changed our admin password? When do we change passwords? How many admins do we have out there? If they can't answer those questions, you got, flags go up.
Okay.
So these will help you leverage technology as a competitive advantage. You have to do it. It's the one tool. Everybody's got quote unquote good people. Everybody says they're best in class. Everybody says they're the #1 in Western New York or wherever you're from. Everybody says that. But to demonstrate that through quality of service, because you're leveraging technology, that is a true differentiator.
Eric, do you guys do technology audits?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. It's a very thorough process. It takes a while, because it's not just looking at and dropping an appliance in and doing a scan. It's
Right.
also asking questions, because we do want to know, is your technology aligned? If you want to be remote, well, nobody has a laptop. How can you be remote?
Yeah.
Simple things like that is a great way to have those conversations. So next steps, and I applaud Sarah for this. She put this together. Sarah Gidwitz from our team, future director of operations, crushed the slide deck, did a great job, put this together. So I want to give you some homework, and this will get you started. I think, Chris, you were the one that mentioned some questions about AI. We're going to send you the slide deck. I want you to put this prompt below into some sort of AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever. Use it to reflect on what's working and where to dig deeper, and send it to solutions@copelandts.com. We'll get you a free 30-minute consult on whatever topic you want to discuss from this or whatever. And we'll help you interpret the results. And you can get an extra 15 minutes if you go deeper and further dive in on those results and keep going. All right, not just take the results here and send it to us. Go through, ask follow-up questions, and dive deeper. And this will just give you a great output. My business is in this industry. We have about this number of employees. Ask me 5 questions to better understand my company and growth goals. I'm looking for help. I know I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. What questions do you have for us? Oh, thank you. If you check your chat window, you should have that. Thank you very much, Angela.
Oh yeah, so that prompt that was on that last slide, it is in our chat now. If you wanted to grab it there. It also sounds like, Eric, that you're willing to allow us to send out these slides to the attendees. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yep, we can get those out to you too. So,
any other questions? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. I know talking about tech nerdy stuff can be sometimes a little scary and unnerving. Unfortunately, if you own a business, you run a business, you're responsible for business, these are things you have to pay attention to.